Hi everyone, I'm the National All-American Miss Serene Singh, and I'm super excited because some people have been asking me to do a reaction to my reaction of my win. So not only am I going to do reaction to my reaction of what happened in that moment, if I can even remember what happened in that moment, but I'm also going to be looking back and reflecting for the first time ever on the entire finale. We'll go through it together, so stay with me. Let's do this! At the pageant itself, all of the Miss contestants had our red carpet awards the night before, and they lasted very long, and then we also had a rehearsal, so I think most of us probably went home by the time we took off our makeup, took a shower. It was like 2 a.m. and a lot of us had a wake-up call at 4:30 a.m. So most of us, I would venture to guess, had maybe 2 hours of sleep. So backstage, people don't really realize this, but all of us were running around trying to find bobby pins, trying to get zipped into our dresses, trying to make sure that our stuff was there. I remember there was a girl right next to where I was all situated who couldn't find her shoe, so we were trying to look for her shoe all around in the back of the ballroom. Okay, so here's our opening number. Oh my gosh, it's me! Oh, Serene. That's funny. You know, I will say I was right in between two really tall girls when it came to the finale. And so I remember just being like, oh my gosh, it's so interesting that like out of all the girls in the very front row, there's a bunch of tall girls and then there's little Serene right there. Opening number is now done. I go backstage, I'm taking off my opening number production outfit and I'm trying to put on my actual gown. It means there's a few girls in front of me. They're going out and all I'm trying to tell myself at this point is, Serene, like, you have to do exactly what you've been doing this entire week. Let's see what happens. I think I'm the next. Ah, I'm so stressed! Watching it back over is just as stressful as doing it the first time because, like, I don't know what I'm about to do. You'll see. Okay, here I go. A little, okay. At this point, I was just like, okay, Serene, it is a fashion show. You're gonna strut your best self. Own it. Own every minute of it. And just keep looking back. If you can see, I keep looking back to it, the judges. I am taking in every moment of that stage. Okay, so then they start calling top 12, which is so nerve-wracking because they usually have us all on stage, but because of the pandemic, we were all backstage, so you couldn't really see our reactions, but we're sitting there holding onto our chairs, trying not to wobble, but we're like shivering backstage because of the ACs, and the vents are just blowing in our faces, but also we haven't eaten, we haven't slept, we're like a whole mess, but we're also trying to look really pretty. I remember just closing my eyes and sitting there with my arms like this, and I was just sitting in my lap, just focusing and centering myself as much as I can. And then I remember I heard, Golden, Serene Singh. And I was like, yeah, girl, you did it. Why am I walking like this for the top 12? I don't know. At this point, every single time that I was on stage, I was like, you are being judged. It is a performance. Make it worth people's worthwhile. And so that is exactly why I'm walking the way I'm walking, I guess. Okay, so as you know, when you're in the top 12, you have to recompete with your personal introduction. 4 primary portions of competition, the first of which is community involvement, second of which is evening wear, third is interview, and then fourth is actually your personal introduction. This is the one that people usually are confused about because it's not in a lot of pageant systems. It's a 1-minute introduction that is completely memorized before a live audience about who you are and what matters to you. So doing that in a gown is something that as a public speaking teacher and a debate coach, I've never done. And all of us are just backstage trying to recite our personal introductions, make sure we're getting it crystal clear, and then they kind of line us up in the order that they called us in. So I remember when I did my personal introduction here though, I was so proud of myself. I was so proud of myself because the echo was even worse than it was during prelims. So you could really hear every single word you were saying again and again and again and again, and then it came back in like a different ear, and then your mind was playing tricks on you and you were like, what's going on? It's like 8 a.m. Look at those facial expressions. Good job, Serene. I'm proud of you. As a public speaking teacher, as someone who's, this is my literal profession, this is something that's still scary. So anyways, I do my personal introduction. You can't see it in the video, but I totally walk backstage and I'm like, go girl, you crushed it, boo boo. So I'm backstage, I'm freaking out, I'm messaging every other person about how I'm doing and what they think is going on, wanting to make sure I don't have any wardrobe malfunctions that I need to know about, because again, I was alone, like I didn't really know if there was something I needed to be aware of. But then they start calling up top 5. And so the first person will come here, then the second, third, fourth, fifth. And I was glaring at those top 5 spots like, I better be. I remember the lights were dim. No regard for that we're in a pandemic and that I shouldn't be, you know, celebrating this moment, but I'm like, hey, good job, you made top 12, you made top 12. Because it is a really cool moment to just know that you, based on your entire performance up till that point, are in such a cool and prestigious, remarkable, coveted group. Then the lights came on and I was like, oh gosh, we're about to call top 5. I'm not ready for us to call top 5. And I was like, oh my gosh, Serene, you're in top 5. And to be completely honest with you, at this point in top 5, I was very grounded because I was like, whatever I'm doing has been working so far. And I was really proud of my friends. We go backstage, and then as soon as we went backstage is when I was no longer grounded and content and okay. I was like, oh my gosh, this is question answer. This is one of the scariest things for not just a pageant contestant, but any person, to be put in a position where you have to answer a question that you have no idea what's going to be asked of you. And then also to have a time limit on that. Like, you don't just have 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes to chat about life. You have 30 seconds to answer it, wrap it up, and make sure it's succinct. The amazing predecessor I have, and she was just backstage getting her makeup touched up, and I was like, I'm stressed out, am I gonna be okay? And she was like, Serene, relax. As soon as you go off that white panel, my entire mood is like, okay, Serene, game on. Right before I'm off that white panel, I'm like, and she's about to pull, a question out of the question jar to ask me, and I just keep thinking, Serene, you have so much experience knowing yourself, talking about yourself, learning about yourself. Like, this entire last year with the pandemic has allowed you to reflect. So just channel that reflection and speak about it. I'm still scared. I'm still scared about this, to be honest. The question she had asked me was, what is your greatest accomplishment to date? I wanted to talk about a near and dear story to my heart about why the Serenity Project nonprofit was created. So that is exactly what I spoke about here. And what I really loved about this moment and this answer is that after I said it is when I started reflecting on what the question even was. And that's when I really took a big breather right at the end of those stairs backstage, where I was like, okay, you literally cannot do anything anymore. It is in someone else's hands right now. It is beyond your control. Hands off. This one I was like, well, I've been a runner-up a few times now. I know what it feels like to be in the top 5 and to not win the crown. So I made a deal with the universe, and I said, okay, either we're gonna be 4th runner-up or we're gonna win this thing. There's no in between. We're gonna either get me off the stage as quickly as possible, or I'm gonna win this thing. Feeling my heart thumping so hard. I remember looking around, trying to take in every single moment of what was happening. So the queens obviously did their farewell. Here they go. Okay, honestly, I was so loud when I was on that top 5 stage. I'm so glad that we were all spaced out and we weren't holding hands or being like super close to each other, because I think I would have actually scared the girls on stage. Someone would have been like, Serene needs to get off stage ASAP, she can't breathe. And then I think I was also talking to myself, because when we're on stage we weren't wearing masks. So I was kind of just talking behind my teeth. I was like, Serene, you have to calm down, you have to relax, keep it together. Like, I'm saying things to myself because I knew at this point the judges don't have ballots. They're not going to sit there and be like, oh, why is she talking to herself? Let me rank her lower. They don't have anything. It's all done. It's all in someone else's hands. I don't know if there was ever a time in my life that I was that scared, to be completely honest. That moment where they are calling up the runners-up and I'm thinking, I have laid out every single thing. I have put down all my cards. If not now, I don't know when. I look really calm and composed, but if you look around at the judges, sometimes someone's looking at you too. And you might have a moment and be like, are we on the same page? And I was trying to get that moment with just one judge and no one's looking at me. All the judges were told to look elsewhere. Like, some of them are literally looking up. Some of them are like playing with their shoes, and I'm like, guys. It's such a dainty clapping. I love it. Okay. Yeah. I wouldn't change where I am right now to go stand there right now. I couldn't do it again. I was like, at any second now, someone's gonna come on stage and be like, ma'am, are you okay? Are you fine right now? I'm gonna be like, I don't really know, we'll find out. Okay, final 2. I'm so stressed. Everyone else is like, yeah, final 2, and I'm like, yeah, what do you mean final 2? Okay, and this is the moment that it all changed. I remember I looked over, I was like, okay, right next to me is Orlando. I wanted to make sure I understood the first syllable, so that way when they say your first runner-up is, I'm looking for not a g, because I'm golden. So I'm just at this point listening. I'm not looking, I'm not thinking, I'm listening. Oh my gosh, she falls to the ground. this is not an overreaction. This is genuinely, I felt like I couldn't breathe. I felt like I couldn't stand. My knees collapsed. I felt like this was like 20 minutes of me standing over there like, what just happened? And it's that moment where you realize all your hard work has manifested into something that is really powerful. Of course, that hard work wouldn't go to waste whether or not a crown was in my possession. It was more about the fact that after so many years of determination, this was my timing and this was right. And finally, my dreams have come true. Okay, I don't know if you count that, but of course I tried to start hugging the reigning queen because I am completely oblivious to the fact that we're in a pandemic. So I'm like, oh, Caitlin, come over here. And Caitlin's like, hey, Serene, you're gonna get the whole pageant shut down if you try to hug me. We're not doing this right now. And I was like, oh yeah, we're in a pandemic, I forgot. I'm also that elated and over the moon excited. I couldn't believe that that was my life and that was what's happening. When I'm walking on the ramp, I remember I was looking at the judges and a lot of them are like this or like blowing me kisses or they're just like, we're so proud of you. And I'm like, I can't believe it. This is finally coming to fruition. And I kind of look down like this and I do this. I just touch my banner. Again, it's not about the rhinestones. It's not about the banner. This is the least important part of pageants for me. It's about the fact that being there, guiding myself and growing through this process has ultimately brought me to a destination that I know 2013 Serene would be so remarkably proud of. And there's nothing quite like that feeling. The minute I came backstage though, I called my mom. My sister, my dad, and my mom were all on the call. And I was like, Mom, I won! And she's like, Serene, why did you try to hug that girl on stage? It's a pandemic. I was like, Mom, I just won the world's largest pageant. Well, here we are. There's my reaction to my reaction. Bye, y'all.